Welcome everyone. Today I am bringing another Malaysian professor, Professor Ainul Jaria, and she is a famous scholar from Muslim community. And always I said that there are many famous scholars. They live in Malaysia and they run Malaysians different kind of research organizations. They're working for university. She is one of the great scholars, and basically we get a specific guideline from her about land related law and land economy, and hopefully it will be very informative sessions and you will enjoy. Assalamu alaikum, ma'am, how are you?
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Waalaikumsalam. Thank you very much, Brother Sharif.
Yes, ma'am, can you please introduce yourself, your background? I know you are full-time professor. You are very busy with your job and everything. Can you please introduce yourself and your field of
Well,
research and everything?
I'm just another ordinary mother. I have 3 kids, and I do manage the house. Of course, my husband is very helpful, and but I think 2/3 of my time goes to my work, research, and
Yes, ma'am.
teaching. And I used to do administration for the university, but now I'm no longer involved in administration. I have my hands full with the projects for the government, a few projects for the government. I'll share with you on this later. And I think my passion is for research and writing.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, can you please explain your research topic and what the specific project you are working with Malaysian governments? So we want to learn more about this land economy and these
Mhm.
things.
Okay, when you talk about land development, this is my passion. My PhD is on land development and environment. I did that way back in 1995. And I mean, when you talk about land development and environment, it is not a very small thing. It is a huge thing. I mean, it's globally recognized that environment and development, they need to be balanced. So we also have the SDG, Sustainable Development Goals, which is coined recently, and we hope that by 2030, globally, development will be sustainable. Okay, we talk about SDG, and you talk about the environment, you talk about economic development. It is, I mean, I learned that it is a wicked problem. They call it wicked problem. Wicked in the sense that it is so complicated and so complex that it's not easy to solve. You get the point? Yeah, it's rather complicated and it's not easy to solve because you see, when you talk about development, you cannot not harm the environment. That is the first point. You cannot do development on a piece of land without harming the environment. At least 10 or 15%, there's some harm done. Yeah. Also, we have environmental impact assessment, social impact assessment, so many type of assessment, transport impact assessment. But ultimately, this is from my personal experience when I see things, when we experience like traffic jams, air pollution, um, high density, and lack of land for uh, sustainable agricultural products. So all these are the impact of lack of environmental consideration when they do development. That's why the global community, UN, they brought in the SDG. When the MDG wasn't so successful, they started looking at SDG, Millennium
Yes,
Development Goals, and then now it's SDG. Everyone is aware about it. I don't want to
yes,
speak
ma'am.
much into that. So when you talk about SDG, they have their goals and their targets, as well as they say it's meant for people, the planet. So when they talk about people and planet, what is very important for people? I mean, breathing clean air,
Yes,
shelter,
yes,
and some
yes.
food. At my age, I think food is also very limited. I have to take care of my health. We have to be very particular. With now we have a choice to eat so much food, fast food, and during the movement control order, all of us were told to stay indoors. I love it very much because I had time to do a lot of work. So when we stayed indoors, we have to cook. So when we cook, we eat real healthy food, and I even lost some weight during the MCO because we cook and we eat clean food and no fast food, no more pizza, burger. We avoided all this for the first few. We started on the 15th of March, and then we moved on and on until recently, June. I think the late June we are allowed to. There's some freedom, but we hardly go out as well. I can stay home for 7 days without going anywhere. There's a lot of done. Yeah? So when we look at this during this duration, when there's a lockdown, the environment became better, the rivers cleaner, the traffic jam was not there, and things were under control, and things people were happy with that, and you had more time for your family. It's like going back 30 years. Going back to time I was growing up, we had healthy food. There was not much of obesity, yeah? And we can walk to school. I used to walk to school with friends when we want to go for extra curricular activities. We had nice trees, so we don't really feel the warmth. And in Malaysia, in the 70s, yeah, I went to school in the 70s. You were not born. So in the 70s, we used to go to school with sweaters. No need to have a
Oh,
fan. No
oh,
fan. Every time we
okay.
buy school bag and shoes, we have to get a new sweater. So
Yeah,
all
yeah.
of us, we go to school with sweater because it's cold. It's like 22 degrees in the morning.
Mhm.
And we never had, I don't remember having a fan in our house until 80s, early 80s.
No. Oh,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah,
Yes.
only now we have the air conditioners, and we make heat, with a closed
Okay.
office. Those days, the school windows were open, and we play in the field, we collect rubbish, we do chores in the school, we help to clean the board. So we were all very active, and we
Mm.
were participating in the cleanliness. We were participating in, except for the toilets and the gardening activity, the rest are done by the students. We collect rubbish, we arrange our chairs and tables, we help the teacher to wipe the board. A lot of respect, discipline, and when we see the teacher coming, we will be standing this way. Now the students, when they see the teacher coming, they're not standing there, they're looking at the handphone. So things
Yes.
have changed. Things have changed. The social culture, everything. So you see, when you talk about development, we forgot that development must not change our lifestyle to the extent that we are rushing for development. We fail to take into account the social aspect. Now communities, you can go. There's no time for socializing. Everyone's busy. Come out from office. What time they come out? Sometimes people come back at 8 o'clock. When I was a lawyer for a
Mhm.
few years in the beginning. After completing my degree, I became a lawyer. I was a conveyancing lawyer doing corporate documentation. Sometimes I come home about 9 at night. I mean, that time I didn't have any children. So I used to come home at 9 because trying to finish documentation, rushing for registration at the land office. Malaysian land system prescribes registration. So you must register on time. You must make sure things are done so you can advise the bank. So we were all rushing. And I hear some lawyers come home at midnight. So that's what's the life? Where's the life? Unless you take a holiday and go out. So this is where development must be balanced. So when we talk about land development and environment, we have come to a stage now where with COVID-19, yeah, then there's a lot of realization what is going to happen. Can COVID change our lifestyle? Of course, now we have something called social distancing. I prefer to call it physical distancing, yeah? Because you're supposed to distance yourself physically, not socially. Socially, we're still on WhatsApps and Telegram and emails, whatever, on Facebook as well. But if you see the present trend, during the lockdown, everyone was like trying to be more homely, trying to grow their own edible garden. Many things were going back. It reminded me of, as actually when I was growing up. Yeah. So in the 70s, I went to school in the 70s. In the 70s, the vegetables were very fresh, the fish and chicken and meat. And we used to have proper food. We cook at home and we eat, and we're healthy. And we grow our own vegetable because we had small plots of land. But now no more. Everyone live in either a high-rise building, or even when they have space, they tile up the space. So all these are contributing to global warming. Because when you tile up, when the rain comes down, you tile when there's no grass or no earth for the water to go in, it will just run off. That's why have you seen our drains in Malaysia?
Yes, yes,
Drains.
yes, yes, yes.
We have huge drains, remember? It's called
Mhm.
monsoon drain.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, the Arabs used to wonder, they thought it's a small river. But
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
yeah, we have very heavy rainfall. That's why we
Mhm.
have the monsoon drain. So every house will have a drain, and the
Mhm.
water collected, rainwater collected from the drains, it will go into the monsoon drain. At times, the
Mhm.
monsoon drain will flood over because of the heavy uh, rainfall. But the monsoon drain is a very important planning mechanism for Malaysia, because
Mhm.
it collects the water, and the water is, it goes into a river, then it goes, it's a circle. So we have the water, but when you tile up, it dries up very fast. The water run off fast and dry. But if you have the ground, it's, so environmentally we are not giving enough water for the process, the scientific process to happen, because we
Mhm.
tile up all the porches, to park the cars, so this is the it's not a bad thing, but it is some of the side effect of development. So
Mhm.
when new development, people want to fix new tiles, no more green. They don't want to use the lawn. Very difficult to get gardeners. All these things are the one contributing to the negative effect of development. So
Mhm.
in Malaysia, we have a town country planning law. We model that after the British system. Of course, British was our colonial masters, and they left the legacy. Most of our law is adopted from the British, or through Britain to India and India to Malaysia, and some from Australia. Our land law came from Australia. Yeah? So
Oh, okay.
our land law is a torrent system. So it's from Australia. It requires registration. Malaysian land law is one of the uh, airtight system where. Let's go away.
Hey, Dr. Shai.
Hello.
Go away, Faiz. Okay, sorry. He
No
wanted to say
problem.
hi to you.
Yes, no problem. Okay.
He wanted to say hi to you. Sorry, that's Faiz. Faiz has he's a grown up, but he's still a baby.
I
He has
understand.
some.
Understand. No problem.
He's
No
yeah.
problem. No problem.
He's a late bloomer, so
Understand.
he's very spoiled. Sorry, yeah.
No
But
problem.
I work along with him all the time.
Yes.
You see, when we register our land dealings, it's protected by the law.
Mhm.
So our land registration system is very, very efficient, and
Mhm.
there's no element of cheating can happen, but it cannot happen. Okay, 50% with the land administrator's help. If
Mhm.
not, it can never happen. All the lawyers will try to do things. Yeah. So
Mhm.
my survey shows that most of the problem happens outside the land office when
Mhm.
documents. So our land registration system is very, very efficient. So a landowner under
Mhm.
the British law, previously, planning law started with uh, industrial revolution in old England, yeah, where they had to make sure that. Have you watched the movie? I can't remember the name now. I always tell my students this movie,
Mhm.
where if you look at old England,
Mhm.
London, yeah, London is
Mhm.
very cramped up. The living conditions are not healthy, So they came up with the town country planning to
Mhm.
improve the land system, land development system, as well as provide space. That's why they had urban gardens. That's why we
Mhm.
have gardens everywhere. Park, you have Kensington Park. You have many parks in UK everywhere.
Mhm.
Even in Malaysia also we have parks. Yeah, parks are very
Yes. Yes.
important because it
Yes.
gives you the psychological benefit. Yeah. So when we adopted the planning law system from UK, also the urban planning architects and our planners, most of them were trained in UK those days, but now we are going to Australia. Previously,
Mhm.
everyone used to go to for law and some of these professional courses. We go to England, yeah. Only
Mhm.
for technical like engineering and science, they go to US. I mean, the Malaysian government. I think we are quite lucky, lah. As you say, Malaysia. After achieving independence in 1957, the government developed the first Malaysia plan. Yeah? They had some
Mhm.
plans during the British time, but when the British left, the young Malaysian government they developed. Now we are into the 11th Malaysia plan until
Mhm.
2020. Yeah? So the
Mhm.
first Malaysia plan they had two strategy. To bring development, yeah, 57, yeah. Two
Mhm.
strategy. One is eradication of poverty, and the other one's restructuring of society.
Mhm.
When you talk about poverty, yes, not everyone was rich. As I said, people are very small. They live in uh, rural areas. Kampong, you know about kampong? We
Mhm.
all
Yes.
come from kampong,
Village
eh?
area.
Yeah,
Village area. Yes.
Kuala Lumpur wasn't like this before. Kuala Lumpur started evolving from 50s. Yeah, Kuala Lumpur used to be a mining town. Then only now Kuala Lumpur is like another, metropolitan city, like another international city. Yeah, previously was a mining town and more to trading. It
Yes,
was
yes.
dominated by Chinese Captain Yap Ah Loy and the Chinese miners, not by British. British was not ruling or were not able to do much in Kuala Lumpur at the time. They only came in later. British came to the Kuala Lumpur, very interesting, to help plan the city. They introduced a law called Sanitary Board Enactment. With this law, they managed to exercise control in Kuala Lumpur. It was way back in 18 something. Yeah. So when the British left, so we adopted the law, 1976. So our law came in later, much later. British did not introduce the planning law that we have now, but they had some old laws plus some minor protection for environment, but not as more structured as we have now. Now we have few environmental protection law. We have about 100 laws relating to land development and environment. A
Okay.
huge list of law. So the planning department, we have one federal agency, and our system of government as well. That's another issue. We have federal, state, and local government, three-tier government. So we have three-tier government. Planning matters is actually very much within the power. Land and development is very much under the power of the state authority. As you know, state is like we have the federal government. Previously, our Prime Minister was Tun Mahathir. Now we have Tan Sri Maidin Yassin. So he is the chief executive officer, CEO of the country. Yeah. Then we have the king. Yeah, the king and the CEO. Then at the state level, we have the state authority. The state authority, we have the state legislative assembly as well as the chief minister, and of course we have the respective state sultans. So the power to manage land usually is with the state authority, that is the sultan, and also acting on the advice of the state exco, state executive council, chaired by the chief minister. But day-to-day management running is not, the sultan doesn't really interfere. We have a good king. We have a king, Agong.
Yes,
The
yes,
Agong,
yes.
yeah, the Agong is a very friendly and very, nice person. Similarly, all the sultans also in their own states, they come down, they meet their people, and they're concerned. I mean, they're more like they command respect. So when the sultan comes, the politicians can't do much. So the politicians have to, show some respect. So at times the sultans also come to assist the people with the control. But I'm not against development totally. Development is something we need. Even my house, we have tiles and marbles and whatever, air conditioning. But what I mean is that development must not bring harm to the others. You see, yeah, certain level of society we benefit, but there's certain level of society like when the MCO was introduced, the movement control order all around the world. It's not only Malaysia; it's a real lockdown. Yeah? The whole world. I've never experienced this lockdown in my life. I've never stayed home this long in my life. Even confinement, I don't stay more than 2 weeks at home. I had my second baby when I was doing PhD, so there's no time for confinement to go do my research. Yeah? So you see, this is a very, very shocking, traumatizing experience for everyone. And for us, our family, we were even more traumatized because my daughter was a frontliner. She's working at the emergency department. She's a doctor, so she cannot come home. And we were so worried about the infection. It's like everyone was worried about something. Everyone had to worry about something. Some worry about the job, some worry about the health, some worry about, there are a lot of issues. It becomes like society came to a standstill. The global community came to a standstill. But Alhamdulillah, the Malaysian health ministry, they were smart enough. We have our Director General for Health, Dr. You used to read about him, used to hear about him, isn't it? For us, he's a real icon. Yeah, he and the team. Yeah? Of course, he has a team, but he is the man of the hour, and the government listened to him. This is where the cooperation comes in. So the National Security Council, we have an agency established at the national level, National Security Council. If there's a disaster, they come in. Any disaster, land development disaster, landslide, flood, and also this is an infectious disease. So the National Security Council came in, but all these people come together and they work together. They work together. So, but with the guidance of the medical team, because it is priority is healthcare. So when you come to Malaysia, although we are a developing country, although we have some internal squabbles, a little bit of the political issue, but we showed to the world that we are united. Our civil
Yes.
service, our civil
Yes.
service is very good. Our civil service, we have excellent leaders. Politicians come and go. Politicians come and go. They have their policy. I always wish that politicians only come, be supervisors, address on policy and be ombudsman, and do not interfere much in the daily administration of the country. Let it be the civil servant. We have a very strong civil servant vehicle, but at times it's all wishful thinking. All countries, I hope, not only in Malaysia, I think all developing countries prefer to be left alone to their job, and politicians, just take care of the voters' interest. But that's wishful thinking. So development is halted. Everything came to halt. Construction, even agriculture, except for palm oil and a few. Food industry were allowed, and people were so worried about food. But food was abundant. I mean, the supermarkets were open, everything. Food supply was there, and the government. One thing beautiful about Malaysian government, they make sure we have price control, yeah, and then we have sufficient basic necessity lah. Rice, basic necessity for Malaysians. All Asians are rice, isn't it? Potatoes, aloo, everything. So everything was there. I mean, we go, we in a mask, we go to get our things, and things were organized. Even the malls, everybody was organized, but everything else was closed except for essential services. Things were open. So those who were serving essential services from the healthcare, they were given extra allowance. The police were given. It's not much, but to appreciate, and also the public come together. The Malaysian public come together, helping to do the PPE, come together. So you see, in times of crisis, everybody come together. So coming back to SDG, I wish people come back together like that. The public, the public must be aware. Public participation is lacking throughout the world, even in US or UK. Though they talk about democracy, public participation, but I think public participation has not achieved. Like there's one scholar, planning scholar. He passed away, Professor Mark Osland, a very a mentor and a personal friend as well. Prof. Osland always say, when you want to talk about balancing interests, public and private interests, like I'm a private person, my interest must not override the overall public interest. Yeah? So if in a neighborhood, I must not do things that will harm my neighbors. So I must get permission of my neighbor to do some renovation, to do something. I must not block the sunlight. This is law, yeah, common law rights. Cannot block the sunlight. Their right to air, right to water. So there's a lot of limitations. So our law has this limitation as well. Our land law has limitation. Our environmental law has limitation. Planning law, building construction law. All the law we have has all the necessary precaution measures. But when it comes to implementation, this is where we have problem. Implementation and enforcement. I mean, every country has the same problem, yeah. So when you prioritize development like Malaysia, you've seen all the big buildings coming up, isn't it? Everywhere, yeah.
Yes.
Buildings, huge buildings, very huge buildings,
Yes.
KLCC we thought is a huge, but it's more coming, So we have so many buildings. Now we have glut of office space. Office space, oversupply of office space. I'm involved in some of the areas in planning with the ministry. Yeah. So when we meet them, we discuss with them, the officers, we tell them, look here, this is not right. And the officers are aware. They also know, because they are professionals. They know the plot ratio, the density, and how things are to be done. But again, no choice. You have some political interference. When politics comes in, and of course, politicians have their own justification. They say that we need development. We need development. But I told the politicians many years ago, like before the election, before the change of government, told them stop mega projects, because when they do mega projects, those who are benefiting are foreign investors and some small group of people. But the public at large, they will suffer because land is taken away. Arable land that can be used for agriculture is taken away. So we talk about land economy. What is economy?
Yes.
Yeah, economy means land. But how do you compensate a farmer whose livelihood is farming, isn't it? How do you compensate him remove him from his land, he's traumatized and he doesn't have any experience. He loved to be a farmer. You put him in a high rise and he works. Sometimes they get cheated when they are given some money for compensation for the land being taken away. They get cheated by somebody as well. So they will be living in small high rise apartments, whatever, and their life is not the same anymore. And some old people don't enjoy this. When you go to the rural, it's different from staying in the. I mean, have you visited any Malaysian kampungs?
Yes,
Not yet.
I visited. Yes, I just want to explain that kampung, because there are many international audience.
Village, yeah,
They will
village, yes,
observe. Yes, it's a village actually, and
yeah, yeah.
Malaysia has a very beautiful village and their own food, own culture. This is very
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah.
So,
Uh,
yes.
we have 13 states, yeah, and
Mhm.
every state has its own culture, own type of food, and
Mhm.
dialect. In fact, Sabah and Sarawak is even more culturally different because they
Mhm.
are still observing their native culture. And villages are places where we go, like it's a sanctuary. We have fresh fish, fresh food, but some villages are now converted to be for development. So we have
Mhm.
Land Acquisition Act. This is
Mhm.
a law, arbitrary law, where the land can be acquired, private land can be acquired for development purposes, for economic development, infrastructure, housing, commercial, very, very activities, public purpose. So the state can acquire land belonging to private landowner for development. So when they do development, sometimes there is a tendency, not all the time, but certain projects. There is I mean, you can read it is the internationally known factors like the Bakun Dam project in Sarawak.
Mhm.
Uh, the tendency of relaxing the law is there. When you want to invite foreign investment, we tend to relax the law so that they can come with investment. We give them tax rebate. We allow them. We give them license to pollute. Yeah. So when they come in, of course, people come to the country with the intention of making profit. I don't think anyone wants to come in to invest and go empty-handed or make a loss. So they'll come. They bring their technology. They bring their professionals. Also, they engage some of the locals. So it is an ecosystem. Every developing country will expect, oh, we wish people come invest in our country. Now Malaysia is looking at Japan. Yeah, the previous prime minister is very fond of Japan. So
Mhm.
now the presidency team also continuing. I mean, um, our prime minister, the eighth, the seventh prime minister, was also the
Mhm.
fourth prime minister, isn't it? So he had beautiful ideas. He's a man of vision. He wants to
Mhm.
do things, but he doesn't really want to follow the Western concepts. He preferred the
Mhm.
Japanese. You know why?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, actually, you know why? I mean, this is one of my justification why Japan is very, very popular among the Asians.
Mhm.
During the British occupation, British colonial time, World War II, the British left Malaya. Japanese they left Malaya. So when the the Malayans, the Chinese, Indian, Malay, and everyone, they saw how an Asian race can overpower the European. So that's
Mhm.
why British occupation, I mean Japanese occupation, though it was very, very harmful to the people, of course, they had their arbitrary ways, but it opened the eyes of the people. This
Mhm.
where, yeah, Asians, especially in Malaysia, the nationalism came up.
Mhm.
That's why when British came back after the Japanese occupation, Japanese left after the bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Japanese left, so the British came back. They had a lot of resistance. We had
Mhm.
local leaders leading, so they had no choice but to give up because India was bad for them because India was so much agitation from before. But Malaysians being Malaysians, see Malaysian culture, especially the Malays, they respect the rulers very much. The sultans very highly respected. So you're supposed in Thailand you can see people crawling in front of the king, isn't it? Malaysia we don't crawl. Even our present kings, they come and shake hand with you. They don't ask
Yes.
you to to carry up your hands, but shake hand with them. Very pleasant young generation. But you see the 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 culture is the sociology. Yeah? They must respect the sultan. So the sultans are very highly respected. So when the sultans when the British came in, they brought in their system. The sultans were accepting it, so the people accepted it as it. And
Mhm.
the beauty of obeying the sultan is where when the sultan of Malacca embraced Islam, all
Mhm.
Malays embraced Islam.
Mhm. Yes.
So you see,
Yes.
all. So Malaysia became Malay. Most of the, 100% Malays became Muslims.
Oh, okay. Okay. Very
100%.
interesting.
That's
Yes,
why the
very interesting.
Constitution says it's a very interesting go with us. Constitution says Malays are Muslims. I get
Oh,
it. Yes, that's why you
yes,
have
yes, yes.
cases where Malays cannot renounce Islam.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Very
the
interesting.
Constitution says very, even Arabs, they have Christians, they have Jews and Muslims. But Malays don't. There is no Malay who can say, "Oh, I'm a Christian." In Indonesia also you have
Yes,
Malaysia
yes.
and also Maldives.
Mhm.
President Kayu, he was very close to Tun Mahathir, so he also
Mhm.
adopted our constitution. In fact, our people helped to draft Maldives constitution. I think
Mhm.
so because we helped them to establish a university and whatever. The Maldives always
Mhm.
come to Malaysia. Um, Maldives constitution says a Maldivian is a Muslim. So Malaysia,
Mhm.
a Malay is a Muslim. That's why there was this in the initially after independence, there was this wrong or a fallacy saying that when you convert to Islam, you become a Malay. No,
Mhm. Mhm.
you don't convert to Islam because we have Malay reserve land. I don't know
Mhm.
whether you
Mhm.
have. You're from Bangladesh.
Yes, yes, yes.
You
I'm
have
from
reserve land.
Bangladesh.
You have reserve land for certain
No,
community.
no, 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 no. We do not have, but I'm learning. This is very
Yeah,
interesting because
yeah.
the constitutional issues. This is very
Yes.
interesting. Yes.
We have under the constitution we also have Malay reserve land. So the
Mhm.
British introduced in the year 1913 a law called Malay Reservation Enactment. At the time they were
Mhm.
quite worried. You see, when the British came, they managed to control the sultans.
Mhm.
Because I used to wonder why they want to control this country. What is there in this country? But amazing, we have so much forest produce. We had so
Mhm.
much mineral, gold, tin mine, and
Mhm.
our land are very fertile. They planted cocoa, they planted tea. Cameron Highlands, the tea. So all this
Mhm.
plantation and everything was giving them lot of money. At the time, our
Mhm.
exchange was £1 to £1. You see, Malaysian ringgit was very strong. Yeah, even in the 90s when I went to do my PhD, it was only £3, 50 cents per pound. It was so cheap that time. Then it went as high as £8. Yeah, when I was
Yes.
studying. Yeah, so you see the we had so much. They used to call Malaya golden Chesonis. Have you heard
Mhm.
about it?
No, no,
Or
no,
the
no.
or the Indians called Malaya Swarna Bhumi. Swarna means
Mhm.
gold. Yeah,
Yes,
a
yes, yes.
booming earth with gold. So everyone come to Malaya to make.
Yes.
So the first wave of migration was the British, before British, yeah, the Chinese traders, the Arab traders, and the Indian traders. This is how
Mhm.
Islam came to Malaya. So the
Yes.
Malacca port, the Kedah. I think you should go to this place called Lembah Bujang, Bujang
Mhm.
Valley. It's near Kedah. This is where the early Buddhist and Hindu civilization is a huge area. I've been there.
Mhm.
The area is so huge. It is one, but interestingly, the Malays never became Buddhists or Hindus. They
Mhm.
were they were enemies. They believe in the ecosystem, the nature, protecting the environment, river. They live along the river, and they were very much obeying the nature's law, very
Mhm.
much. But when the Sultan embraced Islam, the king of Malacca, everybody became Muslim. So it's following the Sultan. It's very much obey the Sultan. So when the British came, they saw that the Sultan is collecting. Okay, this is land tax. Yeah? The
Mhm.
Sultan was collecting 1/3 of farm produce as tax. So if a person makes 10 bags of rice, they have to give one bag to the Sultan. So
Mhm.
so the Sultan became rich, and of course the government. So the British saw this tax collection. They wanted that very much. So they wanted the Malays to grow paddy again. They cannot allow the Malays to come to the mainstream economy. They had the second wave when the British came, British colony, they brought in the Chinese to work in the tin mine, the South Indian to work and the Sri Lankans to work in the plantations, yeah. And also they brought in some other from India, from some other parts, so that they
Mhm.
can control the economy there. So when the
Mhm.
British brought in the second wave,
Mhm.
these are the people. The first wave they already assimilated, yeah. But the
Mhm.
second wave of migration are the people who are recognized as Malaysians under the constitution. So this
Mhm.
second wave, of migration Asians, they wanted to become Malays, so they converted to Islam. Because becoming a Malay, you can own Malay reserve land, you can get license, like the quota. See, there's a quota for the Bumi Putra. This is to help them. Remember, eradication poverty and restructuring society. So the government's two-pronged strategy. So restructuring society, the Malays were in the villages. So they want to restructure, bring them to the mainstream economy. That's why education was. To address this poverty and restructuring society, there are two strategy also. One is education, the other one is industrialization. So I'm a product of that plan, education. So the government spent billions of ringgit. All of us, they sent us overseas. During my time, we were all forced to pack and leave to go our PhD overseas. I graduated from the Islamic University Malaysia. Then I did my master's there, but I was told, no, you have to go out. We don't want inbreed. We want to get some technology from overseas. So I had to go do my research overseas. So I went to Wales, Aberystwyth to do my PhD. Yeah. So all of us, I think at the time, 90% of Malaysians had to go out. Now we're back. We are now supervising PhD scholars. So you see, it's a beautiful policy. Again, Malaysia is one of the beautiful country. Beautiful in terms of policy, in terms of law, in terms of administration. I think Islamic teaching helps this as well. Because you see, you hardly hear about political killing, murder. Do you hear that? Very rare, isn't it? Very rare. Because they obey God. When you are then the other races, we have major religion in Malaysia: Islam, Hinduism, Buddhism, Sikhism, Taoism, and Christianity. We have 6 major, and now we have another group calling Baha'i. Baha'i also trying to come into the mainstream, but these 6 major religious leaders are trying to diffuse hate speech or whatever. So I'm involved in training them now. We are involved. We are doing mediation for interreligious leaders to diffuse, because if you have racial tension, it's not easy to develop, isn't it? Malaysia is beautiful because the harmony. Of course, you cannot be 100% harmonious. There's some friction here and there, but even this we are trying to overcome by introducing them the negotiation skills, mediation, psychology and religion, the law, religion, society in Malaysia. So we give them the theory as well as the practical aspect of how to address issues in community. Simple issues, dog barking during azan, somebody get upset. There's no reason to get upset, but people get upset. So we are trying to small skirmishes. So you see, sometimes people tend to use a small issue, they blow up. So in our country, we avoid that. So this is why the government introduced an initiative to bring the mediation cost to them. And I've trained 2 batches. Now we're having a 3rd batch coming in. We bring trainers from Australia. We bring our own lawyers, our lawyers. We have a very strong Muslim Lawyers Association in Malaysia. They have established the mediation practice and training in alliance with Australian trainers. So they also helping us. So our leaders are exposed to not only Muslim trainers like me, but also non-Muslim. We want to show them it's balanced, because International Islamic University Malaysia, people think, oh, it's Islamic. It's not really in that sense, we are international and we bring Islam and we live in harmony. So all these are very important to aspect to promote stability, to promote economic development. So this is why I'm talking about it. So environmental problem is something that is manageable. It's not difficult. It is manageable. If everybody, like that's why I brought in the COVID issue. During the COVID-19 lockdown time, Malaysian air pollution index was better than any time, so good, because there's no pollution, no cars, traffic, so people's health improved. I even heard that I told you people lose weight, but a lot of development that is very positive. We hope it remains, but I don't. So traffic is back. People are going back to office face to face. So our government is doing a lot of initiatives to help. So my role in nation building is to help the government developing policy and law, as well as guiding in issues like we have court disputes in the court. So we bring this to the policymakers, show them this is what that you need to address. We are also looking at, like this morning I posted on tree preservation order. It is a new project I'm embarking on with a team of town planners, architects. We're looking at how to improve the tree preservation order, because tree is very important to the environment, the ecosystem, for man's health, for businesses, for economy. If we have trees, it gives you better, this research shows that it gives you better value to the land, and not an empty land. Trees give me better value. Trees are very expensive actually, but we don't care. We just chop off the tree, and we leave the land bare for development. When the land is left bare for development, this is where the erosion, and when erosion happens, the soil is eroded and it still cause siltation to the river, and the river is narrowed, and this is where flood comes. You see, it's a chain. Yeah, it's a chain reaction, which people don't want to address. So the government keeps on, improving the river, but people pollute the river. So to me, it's not only the government who needs to do things, the people themselves. Not only in Malaysia, the entire global community. Like if you see in US, the people are demanding freedom not to wear masks, but they fail to realize that sometimes this is not the freedom that you need to. This is not the freedom. They can cry for
True.
LGBT or whatever. I don't really bother. But come on, you're talking about masks. Is now they realize, some of them, when they get the virus. Oh yes, you see, there is a limitation to what you can ask for freedom. Yeah, so in this country, everybody was advised, and masks were distributed, and the government conducted. They spent billions of dollars, ringgit, for the COVID test, and opening up centers. They were very worried about the wave, so they prepared big area space. But Alhamdulillah, we have managed to contain. Today, I think we only have about 200 cases, 180 cases or something like that. From few thousand. It started a few, and then it just blew up because people are not aware. But of course, it has to happen. It's all happening for our cause. There's a hikmah. Remember, we Muslims say it's always a hikmah. And but in countries like India, it's overpopulated. It's not easy to control. With poverty rate, with healthcare, with the culture. Here, wash hands, wear masks. Everybody's like, I go to whatever I do, I had to wash my hands. It's becoming a culture. I carry a sanitizer with me, carry wet tissues. All these are becoming our culture, new norms, we call it. But it's good for us as well, because we are not going to spread the disease, or we're not going to catch the disease. It's protection. Similarly, when it comes to environment development, we have to be very, very considerate. Yeah, considerate. I always tell my husband, no aircon, please, because when you're on the aircon, the compressor emits hot air outside, and it becomes hot outside, and the heat comes into the house and cause heat to the people on the road. But he says, oh, it's okay, but you see, when we think only about our pleasure, our satisfaction, what about the people? God created the planet for everyone, isn't it? It's not only for the rich or the upper middle class. Even middle class, the lower middle class, they're suffering now with the loss of income. In Malaysia, I read that we have 1 million unemployment. 1 million. Yes, 1 million. So it's not easy, 1 million, and they're choosy. So, and we have 8 million foreign workers. 4 are recorded and 4 million not recorded. We have more than 500,000 Rohingya refugees. You see, we are a very nice country, and they have their own businesses, and they control the wet market. The Rohingyas. And we go to Klang. Port Klang is mini Dhaka.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So we are this is a third wave of migration, but they bring their culture, their values. So all these are impacting on the environment, impacting on the development, impacting on you see, when our food is subsidized, heavily subsidized. Our rice, our petrol, basic staple food is subsidized. So anyone who goes to the supermarket, rich, poor, foreigner, non-foreigner, legal, illegal, everyone gets the same price, isn't it? There's no such thing. You show me a passport, I will give you. No, only the airport you have to give the passport. But so everybody benefits from the subsidy, and the government subsidizes very heavy subsidy. So overall, the nation development has taken a very good shape. We just need to settle some issues like, power struggle. Everybody wants power, and everybody wants to have extra. Otherwise, we have good law, we have good system, and I believe that Malaysia can be a good role model. And coming to women like me, I went to the school.
One specific things before you go to women right, there is a woman response from our audience. She is Humaira Tanzila. She says, salam ma'am, Thank you for joining in the session, ma'am. What is your suggestion for women to to balance the work life and personal life? So we want to know about the women rights in Malaysia, and
Mhm.
audience wants some suggestion. So I think like you
Okay.
can give the answer. Yes.
In Malaysia, most parents choose to give us education, all of us
Mhm.
educated. And another thing, we are lucky because we get helpers. One unique part of Malaysia is that the government allows us to bring helpers from Indonesia and Philippines. So the helpers are also with us. I had a helper for 11 years. Even my two books, I have her name there, contribution. She helped me a lot to take care of my son and the family. My husband is a very supportive person. He came with me, left his job for me to do my PhD, supported me a lot. He would help me to do research, and also come back. He helps me a lot, even until now, he helps me a lot. So you have to have a supportive family. I think nearly in Malaysia, I think nearly 60% women are very, very lucky because we have
Mhm.
very good balance, And then, of course, we have our good food. The mama restaurant is there, food sometimes, but it's not easy, but manageable. And I have friends who have 9 children, not one,
Okay.
9 children,
Okay.
professors.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yes. Yes.
9 children. Some got 5, some 6. I only got 3. Yeah, but you
Mhm.
see, when you have children go to school. So our school system also, but being a university lecturer also helps a bit. We have the flexibility. Yeah, we arrange our classes and we go to pick up children from school and send them home, and it helps. But most of this driving around is done by my husband. He's the
Mm.
one who does most of the thing for me. Yeah, I think
Yes.
75% does everything. My job is just to teach, to do my research. I'm lucky. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
At the same time, if you go to office workers, the government also maybe have women at the decision making stage. The ministries, they have childcare centers. So they drop the child and they can go up to the office. At the same time, when they're going home, they can go back and pick up the child. During lunch, they can also visit the child during the prayer time. We have about 1 hour for prayers and lunch. So the parents, if they're feeding the child, they're going to feed the child. So this is very flexible. But being an academic and teacher, I think those who are in the production line, they are affected. But with education, I think you can have a very, very good career development in Malaysia with education. And of course family support, but there are still problems with women rights in terms of for those who are from lower income group, and sometimes they marry the wrong person. I mean, it's all risk from God, and they sometimes the men use Islam as a shield. Oh, you are the wife, you must do this, you must do that. I'm the man, I must only read the paper. These issues we're still having. We still have this. It's there. We're trying to do some counseling. I get involved with some of these single parent, especially the mothers. We look at them, we try to help them, and there's a lot of support from the government, giving them money to do business. Like you have the Grameen Bank in Bangladesh. So we have
Yes. Yes.
we have the Amanah Ikhtiar Malaysia. We have Tekun. The Amanah Ikhtiar Malaysia is a model from Grameen Bank, but it's a better one now because our people
Oh.
don't pay. Yeah, they only pay 5% service fee. The rest is not. They repay without interest. Grameen
Mm-hmm.
Bank, I think it's about 40%, isn't it?
Yes.
I,
Yes. Yes.
I think so, yeah. But our Amanah Ikhtiar Malaysia, they give 5,000 ringgit. And
Mm-hmm.
interesting, there are about 20% of these women who come in to get the loan, they become millionaires. They make like
Oh.
50,000 ringgit. Yes, by selling the batik, the kerepek, the banana, the Malaysian tapioca, um, chips, tapioca chips. All this bring money. They export to UK, they export to European countries. Also, we have the fish crackers. They really make money. So Amanah Ikhtiar Malaysia has been given an award by United Nations for the success here. So there are a lot many micro loans given. Yeah? So the government is doing a lot. In fact, now we have a project coming because of the MCO is halted. We have a land development project in the state of Negeri Sembilan, where the king wants to give, he's proposing to give quite a big area for some development under Wakaf scheme. So I proposed more to farming. So farming, you can bring in women as well. Organic farming, cosmetic produce, homestay. This is a whole thing that local and also international guests can come. See, tourism, Malaysia strives in tourism. We lost a lot of income from tourism. So now we are promoting local tourism. So women are also part of the local tourism. They cook, they make cakes, they become cleaners. So women in Malaysia, I don't say that everyone is lucky, but there are still 15 to 20% who still have the issues with family. I think it comes from the family background, the parents plus the husband and also the sons. They should. It's a universal problem. So if the parents and the husband and the family are supportive, I think things should be better. So we have to educate our children. So all of us must educate our sons. I must educate our daughters. The sons educate to respect the girl, the wife and the woman, and also education. Education is very important.
Yes,
That's why
yes.
I think if you see in India, the literacy rate in the state of Kerala is 99%, isn't it? Or maybe 100%. And all the women are educated. So education liberates you because you have awareness. By times, I know some educated women also cannot get liberation because. So I think it is the society. In Malaysia, we have this is another area of law. We have something called jointly acquired matrimonial property. A woman, when she works with her husband, she gets half share when she contributes to the buying of property. So this is very unique to Malaysia. It comes from the customary practice, adat perpati, where the law provides that it's a custom, but now became a Sharia law. So when a man and woman divorces, the woman get half share. Even when the man takes another wife, the woman gets a half share first in a polygamy. So the woman's property rights are protected, and woman can buy property under her name. There's no restriction. The law doesn't say woman or man. No, the law says natural person and corporations. So a woman can buy property. There's no restriction for women to buy property in Malaysia. You can own as much as you want. All my property is under my name. You see, this is women's rights.
Yes, yes.
And
No,
did I answer the question or?
yes, yes, yes. Can I ask you a question?
Oh, sure.
Yes, yes. Basically, ma'am, this is very interesting. That is the interesting point. We want to know about land development, the law, policy, even how you explain from the 1970s to present situation, how you get your educations, and government has beautiful policy. You have very good administrators and very good interesting things. And this is the beautiful things. I believe that all of the country now observing Malaysian beauty, Malaysian strength, Malaysians good strategies. Even we also come here in Malaysia for learning and development purpose. So this is very beautiful things. One things I have in mind in present economy. Let's say there are a lot of improvement happening in smart city and this kind of things. Even Malaysia, Singapore, they are growing together. So what is the strategy for smart city developments, or what you are talking about kampung or village? Do you have any strategy for smart village developments? We will
Okay.
have to know.
Okay, we by 2030, 75% of Malaysia will be urban areas. 75% is the target by 20. It's supposed to be 2020. That's Tun Mahathir's vision 2020. But somehow or other, a little bit halted. Yeah, even MDG cannot be achieved because of it's economy. It's not easy also, and we have a lot of challenges in terms of healthcare. A lot of challenges everywhere. So the government, how we are going to, okay, for example, Kuala Lumpur is a city. You have conurbation. Conurbation means areas where the development in Kuala Lumpur overflow. Putrajaya is one of the example. Putrajaya was actually was a very rural area with plantation. There was not much development. Very cheap land. So when they developed Putrajaya, it became now urban, isn't it? So from Putrajaya is going to Dengkil, is going to Sepang, and then even that Negeri Sembilan. If you notice Negeri Sembilan, Seramban too. From Kuala Lumpur to Malacca is already urbanized. Then from Kuala Lumpur to Kuantan, this side is already urbanized. Then from Kuala Lumpur to, if you go to northern, from Kuala Lumpur, you can reach Penang in 2.5 hours. Have you been to Penang? Yeah, Pulau Pinang. So you can reach Penang from Kuala Lumpur within 2.5 hours. The bridge, you can be at the bridge already. This is the so we have northern corridor, southern corridor, east and west. Yeah? So we have a national physical plan. I'm going to real plan now. So national physical plan is developed by Plan Malaysia. Plan Malaysia is the federal government's authority to help coordinate development for the whole nation. But Sabah and Sarawak is quite unique, yeah. They come, but they don't really follow us because they came into Malaya in 1963, and when they came in, they had a better negotiation terms. They came in with Singapore, better negotiation terms. Singapore left us. But the other states were merged together by British, the Federated Malay States, Unfederated Malay States, and Straits Settlement. When they come together, so they only left the religion of Islam, custom of Malay customs, land, and natural resources, water. Very, very limited thing to the state authority. The rest all taken by the federal government. So federal government helps to coordinate at the federal level. But there's no sanction power. Federal government can coordinate, can do for uniformity purposes, and they have persuasive power. They persuade by giving some budget for development. But if you go to the state level, they have their own plans. So we have the national physical plan. Then this will cascade to the state structure plan, and then it will be cascaded to the local plan. So the three-level plan, state-level government. So the national physical plan is developed taking into account all the international protocols, climate change, Paris Protocol, every protocol, environment, economic development, anything, family planning, whatever that is mentioned by the international protocol. Malaysia is also member of UN. So all the protocols. Also, we are also member of OIC. Yeah. So we bring in whatever. So when we design these plans. Interestingly, our plan, we have we call this total planning and development doctrine. This doctrine talks about man as a focus of development. But when man develop, he has to obey the creator. We don't put Allah, we put creator, because we have 6 major religions, remember? We don't want to create a friction. So creator. So any non-Muslim majority area, they have their temple, they have their church, whatever. We have all these places of worship. I'm sure you're aware about all the places of worship in Malaysia. See, when the Chinese came from China, they brought in their religions. Now in China, you don't see the temples, but in Malaysia, we have all those earlier.
Yes.
So then man and environment, and man and neighbor, man and man. So this is a very interesting doctrine. So this doctrine brings in the element of religion, ethics, morality. So the National Physical Plan brings in all these values, and they bring to the state. So every state has, like, for example, if you go to the state of Pahang, they have more reserve because they have the central spine, the Canberra Highland, all the spine is there. So they have to reserve. That's why we have the national park. So they have the national park law. So Pahang, they have lesser development, but there is what do we say, economic paradigm to that. Pahang has better budget given in terms of preservation of the forest. They get budget for that. So they get additional allowance, and the federal government also sends federal officer, trained officers, federal payroll to the state to help the state in these delicate areas. Then at the state level, they have the state exco, and then they have the local government. Local government takes orders from state authority. So it's all very well coordinated. So they were designed. So the federal government say, okay, we want to urbanize this area. Smart city is the federal government. Infrastructure, the highway, what do we say? We have so many highways,
Yes.
So many highways, very easy, and also the stops everywhere. Actually the highway R&R is to help people to generate income as well, food, rest, to pray. So we pray 5 times a day. So most Malaysians, they stop to pray, break, have a break and relax, and they drive, because it's sometimes during Hari Raya, the drive is too long. But everybody go back to their village. But village during the Eid festival is more lively than the cities. So smart city, basically they have certain criteria. We also have indicator called Murni Net. Murni Net is a town planning indicator. So every area they do indicator, they will check what is needed. So okay, this area has these indicators fulfilled. Oh, this one can go for certain development, urbanization, and all. This is how it goes from stages lah. I can go on speaking, but time is finished.
Yes. No, like if you allow me, I want to extend this discussion, let's say 10 to 15 minutes, if you have time. So, can you allow me? I can ask you.
Sure. If you want me to say anything,
Yes.
I think more
Yes.
questions here.
Yes, basically, like from our Shohel Rana, he said we have to research for proper land management to make food production. Actually, Madam discussing on that particular points, the food production, smart city development, construction development, urban planning. Urban planning, I think, whole ecosystems. She is discussing about that. So I have another question, like example, from global arena, people has many interest about Islamic finance. Even you said about the Amana and they getting the idea from Grameen
The
Bank. Now they
microfinance, yeah.
microfinance. Now they are playing very well. So actually, how for this development purpose? How actually Islamic finance now working in Malaysia, or can you share some things about the Islamic finance and these things?
Islamic finance started way back in 1983. See, that time was Islamic Iran revolution. Happened around that time. Yeah? So there was a lot of demand for Islamization in Malaysia. At the time, Anwar Ibrahim was the education minister, and and they were all young and energetic. He was the president for the university, so everybody was like, looking at Islamic. So Mahathir's response, he established Islamic banking, Bank Islam Malaysia, the first bank, International Islamic University Malaysia, and insurance, Islamic insurance, Takaful National. These are the three main institutions established in response to the Islamization. But the trouble with Islamic financing is, to me, I mean, I've done practice. I don't really like the way it's developed. Even recently, during the moratorium given by the government to bank loans, Islamic Bank was not keen to give the moratorium. There was a lot of miscommunication, and they go by the contract. And I, in fact, always tell them, instead of they pay zakat and whatever, but help your customer who is suffering, who cannot pay the loan. Isn't it? When a customer cannot pay, he's the first to be helped because he's your customer. He's paying so much to you. But it has to we phased out one product called Buy Vitamin Ajit. We phased it out. It's no more there. Now we have Musharaka. I don't delve much into Islamic finance because I don't support the Islamic finance system that we have. But the microfinance is different. The microfinance that we offer, like even our education fund, we have the National Education Fund. All these funds, the government only charges certain. When I studied, it was free. Nobody charged me anything. I was sent to do my PhD. It's all paid for by the government. Yeah, but now too many people. So we have to share the cake and not enough to share. So the government put fund, but the repayment is very minimum. You pay very minimum interest, not high interest. So this helps the people, the students from the underprivileged family, marginalized group, to get access to fund for education. Microfinance like Amanah Ita Malaysia, Tekun, these are very good funds, which I said earlier. It helped women, especially Amanah Ita Malaysia helped women to develop economically. I think because the Grameen Bank also gives women, isn't it? Most of the they trust women. They trust women. Because they say women don't gamble and women don't,
they do hard work and they pay back. And they are really very dedicated.
Yes. So Grameen Bank created access to funding, isn't it? Although the repayment is a bit high, but Amanah Itia did not only create access to funding, but also a very, very support system. They have a system. They come together. They bring few people together. Okay, they have a support system, mentoring system. Okay, so the mentors bring them together. So they do well. A single woman, they get sewing machine, So the women are actually, if we have economic activity, you have access to economic activities, you can survive, isn't it? Like during the MCO, we all get our salary, so we're happy to stay home and complain. But those who don't have the job, they want to go to work. See, this is the imbalance. But our government gave a lot of funds. I mean, trillions of ringgit spent by the government to help the people. A very, very commendable effort. Medication, food, and also the NGOs come together, helping the frontliners and food. I mean, this is a solidarity you can see everywhere, all over the world. But Malaysia is a small country, easy accessible, and we're only 32 million people. Not that many. I don't think we're even 32. I think they're lesser, but I don't know how they got it. But we have a good hearted people around us. Also, we get funds from some. Yeah, so I think Islamic finance is good if you follow the Quranic way. But if Islamic finance is only to grab, you see, in Malaysia, the market, okay, 60%, 65% are Muslims. I should check back the statistics. About more than 65% are Muslims. So the market is huge. So Muslims, after the Iran Revolution, the Muslims are more alert about the importance of following the Quran. No interest, no riba. So this is how Islamic financing came up. But who's championing Islamic finance? Hong Kong Shanghai Bank. We have non-Muslims establishing public bank. They have Islamic wing window. Now it's full-fledged Islamic bank because the market is huge. Billions of ringgit in terms of loan. Market is huge. So this is where when you look at the documentation, I always joke at the documentation. I've done Islamic financing documentation as a lawyer. You see, we just replace the interest with profit sharing. The documentation itself, there was no prepayment. So as a young lawyer, I was looking at the conventional banking and I was comparing Islamic banking. I gave up. I gave up. I said, hey, this is not what I wanted. I mean, this is not what I learned. I studied saying that in Islam there is no loan. It's benevolence. In the Malay adat, we have something called jual janji. Also like Islamic financing scheme where there is no interest but more of sharing the produce as a token, and there's a friendly loan. So this is what I learned. Suddenly come to the Islamic banking, oh, this is profit sharing, is locked. This is the amount you have to pay, even if the base lending rate goes down, lower. That's, to me, is rather unfair. So they have to evolve. I think Musyarakah is a better scheme because the diminishing Musyarakah Mutanakisa is a diminishing partnership where the more you pay, I mean your partnership will increase. So it's a new scheme. The National Bank of Malaysia, they are controlling, regulating any products. So we have the Islamic Bank, Islamic Financial Services Act and Financial Services Act, IFSA and FSA. So these are regulating the banking sector. But we have too many banks, and I advise you not to take a loan. Loans, to me, that's why we need to have the benevolence scheme, wakaf, zakat. But wakaf is not doing its job. The wakaf custodians are not doing their job. Wakaf is very important. Zakat is very important. In Malaysia, we collect only in the state of Selangor. I think nearly 1 billion ringgit of zakat. 1 billion can really help the poor people, but it is not really being managed properly because the person who's managing the zakat and wakaf, they have the Islamic knowledge, but they don't have the business knowledge. This is the dilemma of the Muslim leaders. They have the Sharia knowledge, but they don't have the business accounting skills. That's why when I did a research on entrepreneurship skills for Muslim entrepreneurs, I said they must know the ethics. They must have the business skills. Also, they must know how to keep accounts, not whatever they earn is their money. So this is where small, medium enterprises are suffering. They don't have the ethics managing the business. They don't know how to do marketing. They don't know how to do networking. So they need the skills. So this is being undertaken by the we have many agencies in Malaysia, actually too many agencies handling too many things. So everybody has their own turf. Everybody want to be the boss. That's another problem we have. Everybody want to control things lah.
There are few audience response. If you allow me, I just want to give you 3 questions, and after that,
I can answer them.
yes. Number 1, Araf Mehras, he said, excellent program on land and environment planning. We have to more concentrate on this sector. Like he's talking about how you talking about the planning, land, urban planning, and urban development. They are very happy with that. Firdaus Rana, she come up with a question, ma'am, can a city become more competitive if more demand is added to its proper land management? So this is the question coming from the audience, and I have a specific question and final question for you. Like, what is your advice for the developing nations, how we can, like, example India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, or different developing, what you call about Maldives, okay, even in what's your advice for land management and this kind of things? What the basic advice you want to give?
Okay, the first one was city planning.
Yes, yes.
The first question, I mean, I come to your question.
Yes,
The first
yes.
question before there was a city planning, is it?
City planning, yeah, city planning. And the
Comparative
second
of
question,
what?
yes, like
What is
city
it
planning.
comparative?
No, like he's appreciating you. He's
Okay.
appreciating how you discuss about land and environmental planning. He appreciating your idea.
No, the
And
second question.
the second question:
Yeah.
can a city become more competitive if more demand is added to its proper land management?
More demand.
Yes,
Demand.
I
I
think
mean,
demand.
there's always a demand for city to develop. I think cities have to have a limit. They cannot be simply. That's why we have the plans. We have development plan. Our law provides for not only our law. All nations have development plan, economic plan, but city planning. So in Malaysia also we have city planning. We have to balance. To me, demand must not be met with more planning, more development. Demand must be, it must be, what do I say, moderated. Somebody must live out of the city. If you ask me, all must live out of the city. We can walk to the city or ride cycle city. So city has become so saturated. It there should be more balancing lah. Shouldn't be too much pressure on the city. When you talk about your question specifically, you see, what do we need? To me, shelter, food, clothing, healthcare, education is very important. And how much do we need for this? There are people who don't have this, and people have abundance of this. Some people have 20 cars, some people have 5 cars, especially in your country. The rich ones are too rich. Yeah?
Yes.
Malaysia can have a balance. Yeah? So when people are so rich, become so greedy, they grab the opportunity for others. So when you talk about city development or land development, for me, we must keep land for agriculture. We must keep. We cannot rely on other countries for food. Like Malaysia, we import from Thailand, Indonesia, Vietnam, India, China. We import our food. So much money goes away. Coming back to land reservation, the British, why they introduced the Malay reservation land? At the time in the 1913 or 19 early 19, there was the influx of foreign exchange. They were buying rice from Burma, Thailand, India. So they don't want that to happen. They wanted the Malays to live in the kampong, the village, to plant paddy, and they create a subsidy scheme. So they buy the paddy for a cheaper price. That's why until now we have price subsidized. So that's why they kept the Malays in the villages to grow paddy so they can buy the cheaper price and supply. So they don't have to go foreign exchange. So in times of COVID like this, you realize that we need farming land. We need to have farm. We need to have uh, our own livestock. Like now you hear about swine flu. If we have our own livestock, we can control it. Singapore is very particular. They hear some problem with our vegetable, they don't take it. They don't. Singapore takes vegetable from us. Huh? We export our vegetable, we import from outside. So our Cameron Highlands vegetable is very high quality, more expensive than the one from Indonesia. So our quality vegetable goes to Singapore and we import. But still, when we import, the exchange rate goes. That's why our money, our currency is very weak. Yeah. So to me, every country, like if you go to Netherlands, you just go online and Google Netherlands. They have beautiful farms and they produce their own vegetable. Very, very good, healthy vegetables. And Thailand, I mean, when you visit Thailand, you go to Chiang Mai, their strawberries are even bigger than the European countries. It's a temperate climate. At the same time, they have beautiful highlands where they grow all these vegetables and farms. I visited the King's Project in Thailand. The king has 4 projects. You can Google the project, the former king of Thailand. he wanted to stop people from growing ganja. You know ganja?
No,
It's
no.
a drug, yeah? Cannabis, something
Focus,
like that.
focus
So the
cannabis.
natives there, it's a border between Burma and Thailand, the bordering area. The natives were planting and they were having a lot of social problem. So what the king did, the king went up with some professors, biology, whatever. They went up and they developed the whole area. So I was a guest of the king under APEC, Asia Pacific Economic Cooperation. I went to speak about Malaysian system, and they brought us as guests. Now the natives no longer grow, and they are richer than the professors. They have international school, hotels, homestay, beautiful. So Thailand king, beautiful. The late King Bhumipol, people centric. So I'm promoting to our kings as well, especially the Negeri Sembilan king. I said people centric. So we want the farm to be holistic living. Once it's done, we'll see whether I don't want enough buildings in Port Dickson area. We have enough buildings. In fact, all our buildings are empty, office space. So we need to have farm. We need to have farmland for everybody, even in your own backyard, grow something. Yeah, because farm, it also ecosystem, and so you don't have to rely. If any lockdown, you have your own food. Now, if we're talking about survival, you don't have to rely on China. You don't have to rely on US. Our leaders like to do that because they want money. They take a loan. Yeah, that's the main problem. Development means loans. Even Maldives, they have loans. Yeah? I saw the bridge. Friendship bridge. I used to go to Maldives quite often. I do training there for the judiciary, yeah, and the university. So they have a friendship bridge. I say, wow, this is not friendship. In Malaysia, also we have quite a lot of land, prime land, sold, to the investors. Yeah? So I think, please. So to me, farming is very important. Grow our own crop, grow our own food.
Yes, ma'am. This is actually a brilliant discussion. And hello, thank you.
Yes.
We want to watch you. He can join with us, no problem. We are very happy. Yes,
Yeah.
and
Pai
thank
say
you.
grow vegetables. Pai say
Yes,
grow
yes.
vegetables. Yeah.
Okay, it's actually
Uh,
very brilliant discussions. It's actually
yeah.
very brilliant
I'm trying
discussion.
to compress everything because I'm going around bringing things to you.
Yes, yes,
It's
yes,
land,
yes.
planning, environment, plus the policy. So it's everywhere.
Yes, 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 yes.
I hope you
Basically,
benefited.
no. Definitely, it's a vast idea, and most
Mm.
important thing is that we learn about Malaysia. And in the global
Mm-hmm.
arena, always I say, Malaysia has beautiful
Yes,
policy.
it has. It
Malaysia has
has.
beautiful administrators.
Mm.
Malaysia
Mm.
has beautiful, planning, execution, and most
Mm.
importantly, brilliant professor like you. So we love these discussions. We love these discussions, and hopefully our international audience, they will observe your discussions and they will benefit it, because people has a lot of questions how brilliant
Mm-hmm.
Malaysia it is and how they manage the
Yeah.
healthcare system,
Mm.
the present economical developments, how they manage it.
Mm.
This is a
Mm.
very learning discussion for us, and thank you, ma'am, for your time and everything. And World Talent Economy Forum definitely with you, and any of your good idea, good plan, we love to implement this. Thank you for
Yeah.
today's
Thank you
discussion.
very much. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
inviting. Sorry.
Yes, assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
Yes, ma'am.
Leave the studio, is it?